Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Chapter 6, Ovulation. So this is the learning outcome. Define ovulation, distinguish two types of ovulation, mechanism of ovulation, maturation of oocyte, and identify structure of an oocyte. Okay, I guess I will focus more on mechanism of oocyte. Okay, mechanism of ovulation. Ovulation is an event that release the mature oocyte from the Graafian follicle. Okay, expulsion event. This event determine the successful of fertilization and pregnancy. Okay, two types of ovulation, spontaneous and induced. Spontaneous ovulation like us, women, and also cow. So spontaneous ovulation do not need any outside factors or stimulus to cause the ovulation. Okay, the hormonal regulation, the hormonal itself will cause the event of ovulation to occur. However, for induced ovulators, okay, such as cat here, the cat will have their estrous cycle, okay, proestrus, estrus, metastrus, and diestrus, right? So proestrus, estrus. Once entering the estrus phase, so during this estrus phase for the cat, the act of copulation, okay, will stimulate the ovulation to occur. If this female cat have their estrous cycle, proestrus, estrus, and no copulation happen, the ovulation will not occur. Okay, the act of copulation will cause the LH to release, LH surge, eventually will cause the expulsion of the egg. So that is the difference between induced and spontaneous ovulation. Alright. Okay. The ovulation. Okay. The ovulation has three phases. The event of ovulation has three phases: pre-ovulatory, ovulatory phase, and post-ovulatory phase. So these three phases is actually at the end of follicular phase. Okay, end of follicular phase. So day 13 or day 14, day 13, 14. And ovulatory phase will complete. Ovulatory phase is, let's say, 6 hours to complete. So it's hours. Alright. Let's look into the first phase, pre-ovulatory phase. What trigger the follicles to enter the pre-ovulatory phase? So the trigger is actually the LH stimulates the follicles development. Okay, remember the last chapter 5, the folliculogenesis. Primordial mature or develop into primary, and then primary develop into secondary, secondary develop into tertiary, eventually the tertiary develop into Graafian. Okay, this development of follicles is under influence of FSH and LH, but towards the mid cycle of ovarian cycle, okay, towards mid ovarian cycle or end of follicular phase, the LH actually stimulates the pre-ovulatory follicles T-cell cells to secrete androstenedione. So this one relate with the hormonal regulation. Okay, these follicles T-cell cell is actually the tertiary follicles becoming the Graafian follicles. Okay, or okay. So LH stimulate the follicle T-cell cell to secrete androgen, okay, and this androgen pass to these granulosa cells, GC. This granulosa cell will convert that androgen to estradiol, estrogen, okay, and then release or secrete as estrogen. The estrogen release in late follicular phase has a stimulatory effect, positive feedback. Okay, the high levels of estrogen at the end or at the late of follicular phase actually a positive feedback, okay, or a stimulatory effect for hypothalamus and anti-pituitary. Okay, it stimulates hypothalamus to secrete more GnRH. The GnRH stimulate anti-pituitary, and or estrogen also stimulate the anti-pituitary to secrete more LH and FSH. And these LH release eventually so high, we call it LH surge, it will cause the ovulation. Okay, so building concentration of LH and FSH marks the beginning of pre-ovulatory phase. In this graph here, we can see the building concentration of LH and FSH. These mark the follicle entering the pre-ovulatory phase. Or if we refer back to our last chapter, is it this one? This one. Okay. Oops. Oh. Okay, this diagram here, this slide over here. Can I put it? I think I put it this. Okay. So ovarian cycle, we have follicular phase, and then ovulation, and then luteal phase. And please reflect this ovarian cycle to the hormonal levels, gonadotrophic hormone levels. As you can see, the increment of LH FSH here, this remark or the mark of this mark the follicles here, the tertiary or the tertiary follicles or gradation follicles entering the pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, the LH, FSH, and eventually the estrogen inhibition. Sorry, again, the LH stimulate the follicles to secrete more estrogen. So the estrogen elevation here mark the entering of this follicle into pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, building concentration of LH and FSH mark the beginning of pre-ovulatory phase. Before that, estrogen is increasing. Alright, what happened during this phase? So the follicle cells, ovum is supported by both corona radiata and cumulus osphoros. Corona radiata, okay, these cells over here, okay, corona radiata and cumulus osphoros. The ovum supported by both the follicle cell. Both are follicle cells, corona radiata and cumulus osphoros, granulosa cells. So these cells here undergo proliferation, so proliferate, and also mucification. What is mucification? Mucus, mucification relate with secretion of mucus, secretion of fluid. Okay, so secretion of, the main is hyaluronic acid, secretion of hyaluronic acid or fluid, follicular fluid that eventually disperse and accumulate. Okay, accumulate in the antrum, accumulate in the cells also, and it will accumulate at this side over here. Okay, and it will cause the cumulus expansion. Cumulus expansion. This one, cumulus expansion, right? Sorry. Okay, cumulus expansion eventually will increase the antrum, increase in antrum fluid, it will swell the follicle, okay, until have this pronounced bulge, or we call it blister. Looks like this. So this is what happened during pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, what happened also in that phase, here progesterone decrease. It's not decrease, progesterone low. Progesterone estrogen is actually a negative feedback switch for hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. But at follicular phase, especially at the end of follicular phase, okay, at the end of follicular phase, and as you can see, progesterone is low. So the correct wording over here, progesterone is low. Elevation of estradiol, okay. Progesterone low. In response to progesterone low, FSH, LH increase. So this low, it will remove the negative feedback, so FSH, LH also increase. And then at the same time, the granulosa cell, the follicle cells produce the inhibin, okay, during this pre-ovulatory phase here. It will give negative feedback or check, keeps FSH under check, meaning it will give negative feedback for FSH. Okay, this inhibin here, this one, inhibin give negative feedback of FSH. That's why FSH secretion is lower than LH. Okay. Okay, although FSH continues to increase because estradiol positive feedback. FSH also increase due to positive feedback of estradiol, but it will not increase as high as LH surge. Okay. So here decrease is low or actually absence. This one, the wording here. In absence of progesterone, it will give no at all negative feedback for the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. So estradiol can stimulate or give positive feedback to the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary to cause surge of LH. Okay, so that's happened during pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, this on your right hand side here is comparing between hormonal regulation at early or mid follicular phase, compare with end follicular phase hormonal regulation. Okay, here mid, this one is at end of follicular phase. As you can see, hypothalamus secrete GnRH, stimulate anterior pituitary, secrete LH, FSH. Okay, this one nanti dulu shut off. The LH, FSH, the follicle cell produce the estradiol. This estradiol will give negative feedback. Okay, but when we compare with the ovulation, the pre-ovulatory phase hormonal regulation, let's make it orange. Hypothalamus secrete GnRH, stimulate anterior pituitary to secrete LH, FSH. Okay, LH bind to T cell, FSH bind to granulosa cell. Eventually, these two cells, T cell and granulosa cell, cooperation will produce estradiol, estrogen. The elevation of estradiol at the end phase of follicular phase. Okay, I'm talking about follicular phase here, at the end phase. Here. Okay, so it will cause, or it will stimulate the hypothalamus to secrete more GnRH, and then also stimulate the anterior pituitary to secrete more LH, FSH. Okay, and it will cause LH surge. FSH also elevated, but it will not be as high as LH surge due to inhibin that give negative feedback to the FSH secretion. Okay, so when we compare this hormonal regulation mid follicular phase with end follicular phase, there are differences. Okay, so other point, corpus luteum growth. So this one is post after LH surge, ovulation occur, so that the left behind follicles will transform into corpus luteum. That corpus luteum will produce progesterone. Okay, once pre-ovulatory phase initiated, and emulsification happen, blister or bulging is occurring, the blister. Now the follicles enter ovulatory phase. What happened during ovulatory phase? So during this phase of proteolytic enzyme will be secreted by the follicle cells, and it will destroy the follicle wall, the follicular tissue at the site of blister. Okay, so it will form the hole. Eventually, due to proteolytic enzyme destroyed the site of blister, the COC, ovum cumulus complex or cumulus oocyte complex, will leave or expel out from the follicle, leave the rupture follicles. Okay, and then caught by the fimbriae. Okay, this one already expelled out. Okay, blister. Blister. So proteolytic enzyme will degrade, will make hole. Okay, at the same time you can see here follicle is bulging. This is like antrum expansion, okay, expansion. So the forces of the fluid inside this plus the proteolytic being making a hole over here, it will cause these forces will cause the expulsion of COC. Okay, eventually enter the oviduct. It will travel by cilia. Okay, we talk about the oocyte maturation now. Oocyte. During pre-ovulatory phase, this oocyte during this phase here, pre-ovulatory phase. Okay, during this Graafian follicle, or the cumulus oosperus proliferate and emulsification, the oocyte already start to complete their meiotic division 1, okay, and then enter meiotic division 2. Arrested at metaphase 2. So during ovulatory phase, during ovulatory phase, the oocyte has completed, already finished off the meiotic division 1, and then initiate the meiotic division 2, arrested at metaphase 2. Okay, so during ovulation, the carried out oocyte already arrested at metaphase 2. Okay, what else? Arrested at metaphase 2. Getting ready to complete the meiotic division 2, right? So the spindle apparatus already appears at the time of ovulation. Okay. If the sperm present, or the sperm start to penetrate, the penetration of the sperm will initiate completion of meiotic division 2. Okay, this one, if no fertilization occurs, the oocyte will degenerate. The mucous membrane of the uterus, termed stratum functionalis, reached maximum size. This one. Okay, this to reach this the stratum functionalis to develop proliferative phase. Okay, it proliferate and then develop into the most maximum size is under influence of estrogen, and then ovulation occur, and this endometrium will enter the secretory phase. Okay, you can see that. Right. Okay, so this is overall process from pre-ovulatory into ovulatory phase. Okay. You can see bulge at the surface, eventually expelled out. Okay, bulging, proteolytic enzyme do their work and then expelled out. Okay. So this one, follicular growth, I want you to focus on this one, the meiotic division. As you can see, resume meiotic division. When these follicles becoming the mature follicles, okay, tertiary or entering the Graafian follicle. So it will resume the meiotic division 1 until finished, completed, and initiate meiotic division 2 arrested at metaphase 2. So and then that Graafian follicle rupture caused the ovulation to happen. Ovulation happen. And then after ovulatory phase, post-ovulatory, what happened during this time? I think the major thing is the transformation of corpus luteum. Okay, due to LH surge caused the ovulation, and this LH surge also will transform the follicle cells that left behind into corpus luteum. Okay, what else? I think it's good. Yep, that's all for post-ovulatory. That corpus luteum will secrete progesterone. Okay. Okay, signs of ovulation. This one, a twinge of pain sometimes felt at ovulation. So this is a sign of ovulation. Or we can predict ovulating women by calendar, or even observing the mucus, cervix mucus. Okay, and also temperature, body temperature. During the first half of cycle, estrogen dominates. During the second half of the cycle, progesterone dominates. Progesterone increases your body temperature as it gets your uterus ready for fertilized, which means in the first half of the month your temperature will be lower. So we can check our body temperature. It should be lower until ovulation. And then ovulation occur, your body temperature will be slightly higher. Will be slightly higher compared to the first half cycle.